There are a lot fewer two-parent families.
What's worth more, a dollar today or a dollar tomorrow?
Almost nobody gets out of love alive.
Prisoners' rights is out of sight, out of mind.
Is your brain on God?
You ain't ready to
There
apply
are discussions
how
as
they
a
thought
black family. We have to have them.
What's worth more, a dollar today or a dollar tomorrow? What's worth more, a dollar today or a
Welcome, folks, to Reality Gurus, the show where we take a commonsensical approach to issues through complex conversation. I am your host, g.cleve, and I have my brother, DB. DB, say what's up to the people, brother.
What's up, people? How y'all doing today?
Yeah, always kind with your intros, man. Always kind with your intros. Of course, we got my man over here, side. What's up? Say what's up to the people, chat.
What up, people? How's it going?
That's cool. Well, folks, this is another installment of our debate style. I know if you guys have seen some of our other debate style videos, it's got kind of heated, and I think this one is going to be a nice one too. You should enjoy it. But Cyrus seems to have something special for us, man. He didn't leak anything to us, but he says it's supposed to be a good one. So let me go ahead and turn it over to Cy. Cy, what you got for us today?
Alrighty. Well, as you said, it is a good one. This is a question that has plagued man for thousands of years, and is still plaguing man today. So the question is, what is the point of life? Is there a point? So I don't want to start this off. So let's go ahead and I'll pass it to d.brown. What do you think, d.brown?
Automatically.
Got him.
I mean, I kind of, in a way, I'd rather answer your second question, like, is there a point to life? And I will probably answer no, not really. Like, I mean, I think ultimately,
yes.
The only purpose that you have is the purpose that you give it. You know what I mean? Being the fact that we are creatures of consciousness, that we think our actions, and when we do them, that, you make your own purpose. But as in, like, some universal point of life, no, not really.
So, like, really fast, let me rebut that with, if there's no point of life, do you believe in God? Do you believe in an ultimate power, or a higher authority?
As a higher authority, no. I use God, but I don't use God in that traditional sense. I use God in the form of a connection, because we are connected some kind of way. Even scientifically, you could make arguments for that. But as in putting a face to God, putting a culture to God, putting a characteristic to God, I kind of stay away from.
Wow. So. All right. Cleve, that was some pretty good insight. How about you, Cleve? What do you think?
I'm still a little floored by D's response. Because honestly, I didn't think that's where he was going to go with it. That was
exactly.
Pretty, but see, and that's what's so great about the show, man, because and the question too, like, you never know. But, me personally, I kind of agree with him, somewhat with regard to the connection part and not looking at God in, like, the traditional sense. I do have I do agree with that point. Like, for instance, like differentiating between, God and, say, devil or something like that. Like, I subscribe to the idea that there's one power, and that, we all have access to it, and we could either do good with it or do evil with it, not looking at it being a devil with horns and pitchfork and stuff like that. I don't subscribe to anything like that. But as far as, the point of life, I guess maybe I would lean to sort of what he's saying too, is if he's saying that not being an overall point to it, but what it is that you do, like, what kind of purpose you get from life. Or, because for me, my purpose in life is just to make sure that I cement a legacy for my children's children, generations after me, and generational wealth as well. Provide that stuff. Make sure my family is good once the Lord sees fit to close my eyes. I know I've said that before, but that's really, what it is I'm in it for. when I wake up every day, that's what my point is with, making these phone calls, making these long drives, all the sacrifices that I make. It's for my family and cementing that legacy. So if I say that's what I think the point of life is, I can still agree with him in saying overall there wouldn't be one, because this is one that's personal to me.
Whoa, I see. Okay. So I'm gonna ask you the same question I asked d.brown here. Do you believe in God?
Again, like I said, d.brown he said it better than I could have when he used the term connection, because that's basically how I would describe it. I'm not looking at it in terms of being figures. This is a figure here that is God, and this is a figure here that's the devil. You understand what I'm saying? There is a power, there is a connection, and we all have access to it through, like, say, free will. So we could choose to do negative with it or do positive with it. I don't see that there being a figure, devil, a figure or God or something like that. It is a connection to a power. That's what it is that I was saying.
Okay. So let me hit you to something like more on a more like a serious, deeper level here. Okay, I wanna take you, d.brown. I'm gonna ask you this question first. I asked you if there was a God, and you answered. So now I'm gonna ask you: do you believe? If I don't want to say God, do you believe in an ultimate power? I mean, an ultimate authority, someone watching over us overall.
Mm, no, I don't.
Good. No, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. So this is perfect. I'm gonna set it up for something something amazing. Okay. So check this out.
Something amazing.
Yes. So check this out. So this is for atheists too. If there is no God, if there is no ultimate reality, what stops you, me, or g.cleve from doing things that are going to benefit us in life? For example, robbing banks to make us rich. If we can get away with this, if we're smart enough to be able to get away with this successfully, what's the point? What's to stop us from actually robbing banks to get rich, murdering people to get ahead in life, doing things that are going to benefit us? What's going to stop us? Why aren't we doing that now?
I mean, ultimately, I think that's what religion was made for. Religion kind of puts you outside of those physical characteristics, that cultural characteristics. It kind of gives you that belief outside of yourself. So, it kind of does that. It gives you that morality to some point. There's other issues there because it depends on the institution that controls that religion. So I have no problem with religion. As far as God, you don't necessarily need God for that. Like you've had at one point the Age of Enlightenment, right, which kind of took the idea of God out of it. It took the idea of divine authority and put it on the individual, right? It made us see ourselves as that threshold, that marker of morality, right? It kind of puts us in the role of being a citizen and latching on to other things outside of just a spiritual authority. So basically, we could say we're all Americans, right? So as an American, I'm going to do for my fellow Americans as Americans should. You have other values that you latch onto. I mean, it's really a matter of ideology more than the idea of having a high authority. Some people just latch onto that more because it's powerful. It's a very powerful statement when you could kind of rest all your hopes and your wishes on this one omnipotent being, and say it's in their hand. But you don't necessarily need that. It's your own moral basis can come from anywhere. It's basically whatever value you put into it. Just like how G just mentioned, how he goes out there every day to accomplish his goals that he set for himself. He has his actions and he has his ways that he goes about it, and he makes his choices each day to reach that level, and that's kind of what we all do. So it's you don't necessarily need a God for it. I don't, and mind you, I do not shit on religion. That's why I don't consider myself an atheist, because I feel a lot of them they're anti-religious, which I'm not anti-religious. I just have my own belief. So it's really how you get there, but you don't need God.
Okay, so I like your general answer, or your answer to that. However, let me ask you that same question on a more individual level for you. What's
Okay.
stopping you from robbing banks? What's stopping you from murdering people? What's stopping you from doing all these like crimes? If you were smart enough to get away with them, what's stopping you?
I don't think I'm smart enough to get away with it.
No, no,
I'm
that's
not built like so.
hypothetically, say you were a genius.
I mean,
I'm not saying
that,
you're not a genius, but let's just say you are here in this case, and then you're able to rob banks and stuff. What's stopping you from not doing it right now?
well, if we broaden it out to just how societies work and the fact that you have laws, you have rules, you have regulations, that there's consequences to everything you do. So those are the things that you think about. So I know that if I go out there and rob a bank, that even though if I'm smart enough, if I make that decision to actually do it, I know there might be a time where I get caught, and I have to live up to that. So there is choices that you make, but those are physical choices because you know that there is physical consequences. So
Let's say that you'll never get caught. We're in a hypothetical here. Say you're a genius. You can like rob millions of dollars from a bank or murder people to get ahead in a job, for a promotion, things like that, and you'll never get caught, because we're saying here that there is no God. We're saying here there is no ultimate authority watching over us. So integrity is out the door. So you can do whatever you want and never get caught. So why aren't you doing that?
well, I mean, okay, so but we're saying it within the context of the society we have now, right?
Well,
We're not,
I'm talking more of
or,
an individual. I'm not thinking about society. I'm talking about you. You as an
well, I
individual.
mean, because I say that only because the fact that the individual is part of the society that you're in. If I'm in a society where there's no rules, no laws, no regulations, then yeah, I would. Like, I mean, there was a time when there is no civilization. If you look at probably more, I don't want to say primal, but more, cultures that are outside of the normal civilization that we have, I'm pretty sure there's different handlings of certain things where they're a little bit more lawless than we are. I mean, you go to certain places that that's what it is. I can't think outside of culture because every even if you think about some smaller, like just a little tribe, there is some kind of rule, there is some kind of regulation, and there is some kind of consequence.
Okay.
If I cannot consider myself a mastermind, even hypothetically, you know, because there is balances. Like I could say that there are people that do that. When you look at corporations and all this other people who kind of have a little bit more free reign and use things to their advantages, there's a lot of things that we don't see that that
Gotcha.
they actually do. But there is balances to society. So if put it like this, if I am a mastermind and I'm a genius and I do this, I know somebody else is going to be affected by it.
Yes. Okay.
That's why I can't separate the society. You know what I mean?
Now we're getting somewhere. So g.cleve, I know I haven't asked you anything, but I'm gonna
That's fine. That's fine.
I'm gonna
Like I
get
said, I'm focused.
Okay. I'm gonna get to you like with the next big hit that I'm gonna throw at you guys. Okay. So that's I think you're really still avoiding the question, d.brown. What I'm asking. Let me ask it again. Okay. Hypothetically, you're a genius. Okay, and we're living today in this society with laws, regulations, police, everything. If you're smart enough to get away with something, rob banks, kill people, why aren't you doing that to get ahead in life? If there's no ultimate, if there's no consequence at all from anybody, from God, from our society, there's no consequence for you. You're so smart, you're able to get away with anything you want. So you can rob a bank to support your family, to elevate your family to a higher status. Why aren't you doing that, you as an individual?
Because people believe in God. Like I don't
Well,
I
I'm
don't
talking
think I'm
you.
a
I'm not talking about
person.
people. You. So you're.
Because,
I think you're constantly
I'm
avoiding the
giving it to
question.
you. I'm not avoiding it because you're giving it to me, and I'm telling you how I think. Like we are, like I said, creatures of consciousness. So your consciousness is basically based off your experiences. So based on my experiences, based on the fact that I know if you punch somebody, they're most likely going to get hurt, and also they might react and punch me as well. You know what I mean? Because that's how we work, even biologically. So I know all of this. So that is not straying away from it. I'm saying that basically there is nothing holding me back besides me knowing the consequence. There's
I,
nothing holding me back besides knowing that that if I do something within the society that is set before me, that if I do get caught, it is. If I could do it, I could do it with the idea of not getting caught. But there's no way I could say, even hypothetically, 100% that you could say that for sure, because you know in advance that there's a possibility. You know what I mean? There's nothing without any kind of risk. So there is that possibility. So I'm telling you what personally, I know for myself, it's keeping me back from actually doing it. It doesn't need God for that. It doesn't need a divine purpose for that. It needs to know that if I do this one thing, that this other thing might happen, and I don't want to face that possibility. Anything you do, you level out that risk. You level out what is worth. That's, I think, sometimes what holds a lot of people back. You know what I mean? It's not putting it all into to this one pot, because I mean, let's be honest, even religion wise, you have nations that do things religiously that are horrific in our terms. Yeah, so you know you don't need those things to balance you out. You need your own personal belief that add on to it.
Okay.
And I know the consequence. So
okay.
It's not me avoiding it. I just don't know how to answer it any other way.
Okay.
Besides that,
I totally
you
get
know.
it. So let me get this straight. Like I think you answered indirectly from what I understood. Okay, you are a man of caring. You know, you care about other individuals. So you don't. So for example, if you rob a bank, you're robbing money indirectly from all the customers. So you care about everyone else. You're not a selfish person. So I understand. Okay, is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it.
Okay,
yeah, that's pretty much.
Sounds good. All right, yeah, perfect. All right, well, good answer. So g.cleve, like just real fast,
Yes,
I'm gonna hit you with a more philosophical question, g.cleve. But do you want to respond to that question at all? Like this one that we're talking about right now?
I mean, no, I think D kind of I think he kind of summed it up, because what I was just going to basically say, it just came down to my level of consciousness, like you know how I feel about the situation. You're asking, why wouldn't I do something even if I knew I couldn't get caught or there was no consequences, and you're throwing integrity out of the window.
Yes.
You know, it's hard to do that when, you know, my level of consciousness is where it is right now. So that's what I was going to say, but he kind of, you know, summed most of that up with what he was saying. So.
Okay. All right. Well, sounds good, guys. Any last thoughts on that specific topic, or that point? I'm sorry, that point.
Well, I would ask you this question. I would ask you, what do you, how do you see, you know, what are your feelings on that particular question?
All right, well, check this out. This is like it's hard for me to say what I'm going to say on a live stream. Okay.
What?
Well, check this out. Check this out. You know, this is like not something that's going to be accepted, or something that will offend people, or something that will get people scared, or whatever. You know how this generation is today. Okay. So.
All right.
Just be thankful. Just be thankful for this fact right now. Okay, that I'm going to say. All right.
Right.
I'm very religious. Okay. I don't go to church though. I believe in a more personal relationship with God, and I believe in God 100%. I'm very faithful to my beliefs and my faith. All right. So, but since I believe that fact, let's think about the other hand. If I did not believe there was a God, if I did not believe there is an ultimate consequence, or an ultimate authority watching over us, and that we have consequences after life, if that's not there, and I was smart enough to do all those things that I was talking about, why would I not do those? I would. I'd rob banks. I'd kill people for benefit, because there's no ultimate authority at all. But like I said, be thankful that I'm very 100% believe in God, because he's and there's zero chance.
I hope you keep your faith.
Yes.
For the rest of
the and there's zero chance, zero chance in this lifetime that I will stray away from God. Zero chance. I will keep my faith for the rest of my life, for the rest of this life, actually. So I don't know about.
I think we all need that kind of stability. So I mean that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
We just all have different versions. That's all I say.
Exactly.
Right.
But like I said, yeah, I'm happy, like, with my faith, and I'm happy with God. He's helped me, throughout my life numerous times, and I fully believe, that there is someone out there watching over us constantly, and like back to the topic, I believe this is like this whole life is actually a test, some kind of test, some kind of test or tribulation or something that that we're here to actually do in this lifetime that will be graded on at the end. So that's kind of my take on it. But
All right, let me ask you before you. All right, so now, all right, I gotta ask you a question then,
okay,
because you threw that little tidbit in there, and it's gonna make me ask. Okay, so then, what is your specific purpose then? Because if like I gotta make sure before you answer that question, I ask you what's your specific purpose is because if your thought is that someone is watching over you specifically and you have a test, it's something specifically that you're supposed to be tested on, I want to know what it is, because if you don't know what it is, how would you ever know if you passed it?
okay. There was a beautiful parable in the Bible, and I don't mean to make this religious. I use this as like more of a philosophical sense. Something about God gives three farmer seeds, and one farmer. I'm probably butchering this really bad, but one takes a seed which is meant to be a gift. On a more symbolic sense. And one of them plants it, one of them sells it, one of them throws it away, things like that. And then God comes back in the end and says, "Hey, what did you guys do with that seed that He gave you?" And then the end of the story, God scolds the guy that threw it away. God scolds the guy that sold it. But God praises the guy that plants the seed and grows crops out of it, for food and things like that. So, in the end, it comes down to in this lifetime, God gives us God gives us many gifts. Whether sometimes He gives us a hand of cards, and it's our job to play them the best we can. So with these gifts that we have, He wants us to multiply the gifts. He wants us to use our gifts, and He wants us to be able to multiply, and make something of what He's given us, and not squander or waste them. So from the way I see it, in my lifetime, God's given me, a set of gifts, and I want to use them as best as I can, and show Him that I'm not ungrateful for not, for not, ungrateful for the gifts that He gave me. Excuse me. But yeah, that's so my purpose in life is to be the best person that I can, and be successful and be as successful as I can. So I have a family, and I want to make my family happy and be the man that's going to be a good example, and just I guess in the end just be the best person that I can.
Okay, so it's not a specific test. It's not something specific. This is not something that, like for instance, specifically, Cyrus, you could have said to me, my purpose in life is to be a brain surgeon or whatever. It's not something specific.
Yes, it's more general because the thing is we don't know. We have no clue of the afterlife. We have no clue 100% if there is a God or not. There's no scientific proof. There's no evidence. It's all based on faith. So when you believe in faith, you have to take that leap, and say, okay, I'm gonna believe this, because of certain past events in your life or whatever the reason for your faith is. Yeah, we don't know, but so I talk in generalities,
Okay.
and
Okay.
I talk based on what I what I've read, what I read in the Bible, things like that, and of course once again based on my personal experiences, I take conclusions, and I put them together and go from
Got
there.
you. Copy that.
All right, guys. Any last thoughts on that last point? I'm going to move on to a more philosophical question. Nope.
Go ahead. Let's go.
Okay.
No, I'm good. Yeah, we go.
Okay. All right. So I hit D.brown with the last question. I'm going to hit you, g.cleve, with this question. Okay. So this is more of a philosophical question. Once again, I'm probably going to butcher it, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's kind of it gives you like the general idea of it, and I want to know what you would do. Okay.
Got you.
So let's say you're a conductor on a train. All right. And your train is going, super fast, or it's going full speed, and at the down the road on the tracks, you have four people tied up to the track, all right, and your train is going to hit them and kill them. All right? However, since you're the conductor, you have an option. You can flip a switch on the front car, which will divert the train to a different track. But that track has one individual on there tied up. So you would kill that man instead of the 4 people that you had originally, that your train had the original path of. So in this case, g.cleve, what would you do, baby? What would you do?
I hope that I would immediately wake up from this dream so I wouldn't have to make that kind of decision. I mean, brother, this is the thing, man. There was I won't mention his name. Cat used to play for the New York Knicks, right? He was a bench player. I was at a park in Plainfield, New Jersey, one day, and we were actually, out there shooting around. We were real young, and we saw this tall. You know who he was at the time? Tall motherfucker, running over there, just shooting and jumping, whatever. Oh, so we run over there, check him out, see what's going on with him. And he says, "Nah, ain't nothing. G here practicing. I'm with the Knicks. Blah blah blah. My name is XYZ, whatever." And so we asked him all these questions. Yeah, can you dunk from the foul line? Can you do this? Can you do that? And he said to me, listen, man, a lot of that stuff that you see on TV is actually real, right? But it's in the moment stuff. It's like things that probably wouldn't be likely if someone was asked to do it like on demand. But in the moment, like adrenaline and energy and stuff like that, sometimes people do superhuman stuff. Like jump from the foul line, and dunk. So the reason I bring that up is to say it's hard for me to answer that question like sitting right here. That's an in the moment question. It's one of those things that, in the moment you make a decision. It's kind of hard to ask somebody something like that sitting here.
I don't like
Come
it.
on,
I don't like it, g.cleve. Man, give me an answer. I don't like it.
Let me answer
one.
Okay, moving on to d.brown, baby. What is your answer, d.brown?
I'm gonna say this first. I think it's a little bit unfair to y'all because I've actually thought about this because I've heard this question before.
Oh, nice.
Like,
Okay.
Have you?
Yes. I like it. I like it a lot. Good.
But like I actually kind of agree with g.cleve. Is one of the things you don't really know until you're actually in it. But I thought about it this way because I've thought about this question before because
You
that's
cheating
who I am.
motherfuckers, you.
And I want to put the disclaimer. This is not saying I would do this if I was in that position. It's just how I thought about it. So when I thought about like the way society acts to things and whatever else, I thought about if I had to make that choice practically. If I was thinking rationally within that moment, I would probably run into the crowd, mainly for my own selfish benefit. Like if we're going back to your first question about if there's nothing there that's holding me back, would I actually do it? The way I think about it, if you run over one person, the way society will react to that, you got one person to focus on. You focus on their family. You focus on their death. You focus on all this, and it leaves you more in a worse predicament public-wise. You know what I mean? Your public relations go out the window. Compared to if you have a group, like if you look at any kind of mass thing, you see all these people, but you kind of see it more as a disaster compared to actually killing one person. Like you say, oh, I can't do nothing about it, and all these people run over, and it becomes more of a less of a spectacle than if you kill this one person. You know what I mean? So on a rational sense, you kind of run into the crowd. It's not a
You evil son of a...
I'm just saying, it's just more sense for you to run into the crowd because it's less on you because it's more like it's an accident. Like, yo, it happened. But then when you make the choice and you run over this one person, it's like you kind of murdered them because you made that choice to actually turn it around and be like, oh, you gotta go.
You did that. Yes.
Right. So so it just for you, just overall, it's like.
So let me ask you a question. So what if my answer to you was, now that I got a chance to actually get to where you guys are, hear the question, think about the question, what if my response to you would have been do nothing?
I mean, that probably would have been the same thing. It would have been the same thing because you're running right into those people. So it's basically just letting the car fall where it is, and it just becomes an accident. It just becomes more on the train and the train system.
But see, I'm thinking about it more of less. I'm thinking it more of less of a decision to say, all right, I will hit the crowd because society will look at it more as a tragedy, more people involved, than to say I won't make a decision at all. And how about this one? Leave it to God.
You could do that.
See,
You could do that.
this is
You
this.
can
Is,
do
And
that.
I'm only saying that if so, because I'm going to throw this to you now, Cyrus. If the higher authority, someone looking down, if you're in that situation and say, I'll do nothing and leave it to God. So whatever happens after that, does that make you feel a lot more comfortable about the situation?
well, I see it this way. I pose to myself one main question. Okay, when I'm on that train and it's headed for that first path of killing like four or a crowd of people, I tell myself, or I ask myself this: who am I to play God? So I'm with yourself and D.Brown. I'm not gonna change that. I'm not gonna flip that switch. Because as D.Brown said, if I make that choice to kill an individual, it's on me. I chose who got to die that day, and I don't like that. I'm not God. I'm not that ultimate authority to decide who dies and who lives today. I'm not. So
Got you.
I most likely wouldn't do anything. Even
Got
even if people knew that I had that choice, I wouldn't care. I'm not God. I don't. Even if that man has a family and kids and it's so sad and tragic, but still, I wouldn't make that choice. I would just
Got
leave
you.
it alone.
Got you. Got you. Sounds like a plan, man.
All right.
Gotcha.
I have nothing. I'm satisfied. I'm completely satisfied. Give me a
I mean,
cigarette.
and I say this as a person. As a person, I agree. I agree completely. Like you got to actually be in that moment to actually, because people think differently when you're in actual situations. But I had the opportunity to reflect on this a couple of times because I've heard that question a few times.
But I tell you what, this is the reason why, Cyrus, I play bullet chess. And you always ask me, why are you paying 2 minutes, 3 minutes?
I don't
And I
like
said,
that
the
crap.
reason
That's
and I said, but see, this is the reason why, because, although I couldn't answer your question the way you wanted me to initially, I believe that, with strengthening that, the ability to be able to make quick decisions, that if I'm ever in a situation like that, hopefully not that one, but in a situation, where I have to make a quick decision that, my brain will be, where it needs to be able to comprehend what's going on and take care of it, make the right decision. That's why I play bullet chess. Screw all that 15-minute crap, man.
Makes sense, man. Makes sense. I totally agree. Good stuff. Hey guys, I unfortunately I think we're coming up on time here. You guys have any last thoughts?
No, I was wondering, is there any questions? No questions there? No comments or anything from any of the viewers?
Actually, we have no viewers today.
Um,
Ah,
I'm sorry they on the depressing note like that. I apologize. All right, but
folks, that's all the time we have for this episode of Reality Gurus. Hope you enjoyed the conversation, the debate. Always like, share, subscribe. Tune in next time. Take care.
Later, guys.
peace.